Deep within the flow of time, a timeless wisdom has waited quietly, a knowing so potent, it reshapes not only fortunes but the very nature of those who embrace it. This writing vibrates with the echoes of many sages who perceived the true essence of prosperity. You did not arrive at these teachings by accident, you were called by an awakening inside you that recognizes money as more than coins and notes. It is living energy, a river of limitless possibility, responding to the frequency of your being. Through long lines of lineage, this insight was preserved in soft-spoken traditions and secret records. Now, as you move through these pages, you step into an unbroken current of seekers who learned that wealth is not a distant shore to reach, but an ocean already stirring within you. The universe placed this knowledge in your hands because you are ready to recall what your soul has always known, that abundance is your natural condition, like a flower that needs no lesson to bloom. You require no instruction to prosper, only a remembering of your true essence. Within these pages you will find not only facts but transformation. Each sentence carries the capacity to awaken sleeping memories of your birthright. To thrive, you will come to see that money arrives not from outward struggle, but from inner harmony, a resonance with the creative forces that bring worlds into being. This is not a typical manual of tactics, it is a master key forged in the fires of everlasting truth, able to open vast inner chambers of prosperity that live inside your consciousness. As you walk through these teachings, you will cast off the heavy cloaks of lack and limitation, exposing the luminous self of plenty. You have always been. The ancients held these secrets, the mystics kept them safe, and now they beckon to you, not for blind belief but for remembrance. Long ago, in a crowded market, a woman tended a tiny stall of herbs and spices. Each morning she counted the small coins in her palm, certain that wealth was as solid and fixed as the metal she held, until one dawn an old traveler arrived at her doorway and told her, "I sell nothing you can touch, but everything you can imagine." Notice in that meeting, the moment she caught a glimpse of the eternal fact: money has no rigid shape, like water it moves wherever consciousness directs it. The bills and coins you carry are only vessels for an energy as vast as the cosmos. This force answers not to grasping hands but to hearts that resonate. When she absorbed this idea, her shop altered, not because the shelves changed, but because her awareness did. Where scarcity had once lived, she began to sense a limitless stream of abundance flowing through everything. Her prosperity grew not from added toil, but from her alignment with the real nature of wealth. Consider a mail carrier who walked quiet roads whistling as he went. Though his wages were modest, he lived as if already wealthy, seeing richness in the morning light, in children's laughter, in the very air. One day, a letter he delivered brought unexpected news of an inheritance, yet those who knew him said he seemed the same afterwards, for he had carried wealth in his vibration long before it appeared in his account. These tales reflect an ageless truth: abundance moves from inner alignment, not external circumstance. The woman at her stall and the mail carrier discovered that prosperity arrives once we stop chasing it and begin recognizing it as who we already are. To take this in for yourself, find a quiet place, breathe, and imagine money not as paper or metal, but as streams of golden light. Watch the light coming toward you naturally and easily. Feel yourself opening to receive it, knowing it is energy returning to energy. Let your whole being match this frequency of plenty. Hold the image until it feels true in every cell. This practice melts the barriers between you and the endless flow of wealth, for when you understand money as energy, you become its natural conductor, letting abundance pass through you as effortlessly as breath. Beyond a village among rolling hills, a young shepherd tended his grandfather's flock, carrying old wisdom in his heart. One scorch of summer, he stumbled upon a stone well whose waters held secrets older than memory. Peering down, he noticed the well's flow respond to his feeling. When gratitude filled him, the water rushed forth in plenty. But when fear crept in, the stream thinned through that well. You can learn the timeless truth: abundance comes not from a limited source but from an infinite stream. Life's riches pour forth like a river that never ends, yet you must attune yourself to its motion. Abundance answers to your inner state, when you face life with an open heart and the conviction that prosperity is endless, the universe mirrors your expectation. But when you clutch at wealth with tight hands, you create resistance in the very channel through which it moves. A valley merchant learned this through hardship. Each night, he counted coins obsessively, building walls around his money, trying to control its course. The harder he grasped, the more his riches seemed to seep away like water through squeezed fists. Only when sickness forced him to let go did he discover the paradox of abundance. Lying ill and unable to count or direct his business, prospered in the hands of those he trusted. In surrender, he had unconsciously opened the floodgates. These stories show the two forces inside you, the power to allow or to block the flow. Like the shepherd, you can learn to move with prosperity's rhythm. And like the merchant, you may find that releasing control increases your abundance. In each tale, you see a mirror of the universal law that has guided seekers for ages. Abundance streams most freely when we follow its natural movement, rather than forcing its path. Your path toward plenty begins with this deep realization that you are not meant to pursue wealth, but to become the channel through which it naturally passes. Now close your eyes and picture yourself beside a flowing stream. With each breath, watch golden light mingle with the water. As you inhale, feel resistance dissolve. As you exhale, see your financial energy moving as freely as that water. Let every breath deepen your trust in the endless river of abundance that runs through all things. In a sunlit flat facing a park, a woman sat at a piano. Each morning, her fingers not flying as they once had, yet she found a new music, the melody of prosperity voiced through her declarations. At dawn, she would say aloud, "I am a magnet for abundance. Wealth comes to me with ease. I deserve prosperity." These words felt strange at first, like sheet music she could not read, but with days and weeks something shifted. The conviction behind her sentences matched the same force that once powered her concerts. And just as music can fill an empty hall, her spoken affirmations began filling her life. You also hold this magnetic power. Your mind emits a frequency into the universe. Every moment, your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about money create a field that either draws prosperity near or pushes it away. This law of mental magnetism is as old as the stars and as present as your next breath. When you linger on lack, you send out scarcity's signal. When you focus on abundance with unwavering faith, you broadcast prosperity. The universe responds not merely to words, but to the emotion behind them. A market shopkeeper lived under this influence, his mind full of worry. There is never enough business. It is always slow. I cannot expand. These mental broadcasts shaped his reality. Dwindling customers, growing bills, missed chances. One day a friend suggested he shift his inner talk. Though skeptical, he began speaking differently. "My shop draws perfect customers. Money arrives in expected and surprising ways. I am worthy of success." Slowly his energy changed. Opportunities came. A better location opened at a bargain. A wealthy buyer found his unique goods. Loyal customers told others. Eugene had not altered his actions, but by changing his magnetic field, he naturally attracted success. Your magnetic field works the same way, pulsing with the force of your deepest beliefs and expectations. Every thought about money carries charge. Every feeling makes a ripple in the universal sea, sending waves of attraction or resistance into infinity. You are not merely thinking about prosperity, you are broadcasting your relationship with it to the cosmos, coloring your financial future with the hues of your consciousness. Like a lighthouse, your energy signature calls in experiences matching your strongest convictions about wealth. Now take 3 sheets of paper, and on each write an affirmation that matches your highest vision of prosperity. Speak these words aloud while sensing golden waves of light radiating from your heart, carrying your declaration to the far reaches of the universe. Let your voice hold the same surety that transformed the pianist and the shopkeeper. The old craftsman's shadow of scarcity had many forms. In a modest workshop at the town's edge, a shoemaker bent over his bench crafting shoes with skill, yet customers dwindled. Each evening he repeated the same words his father had passed down: "Nothing comes easy in this life, you must suffer to earn your keep." These handed-down stories became the cloth of his belief. You must see that the ideas you hold about money are often borrowed heirlooms passed down, father to son, mother to daughter, weighing down each new generation. The cosmos itself shows no lack. Look at the endless stars above, and the infinite grains of sand below. Abundance moves without end, yet human consciousness has been clouded by collective tales of shortage. These tales are not truth, but spells woven long ago by those trapped in limitation. Your inherited ideas about money create invisible chains that bind you to patterns that hinder your highest good. Perhaps you were taught that money must be won by struggle, that prosperity is corrupting, or that spiritual life cannot coexist with material well-being. These are not your truths, they are borrowed burdens. A weaver named Ruth lived under similar shadows. Her family taught her, people like us don't get ahead, be grateful for what little you have. But one autumn morning, as she watched leaves dancing in the wind, she realized these limiting thoughts were not hers. They were echoes from a fearful past. With resolve she began unweaving those patterns. She stopped repeating her family's phrases about lack. She released the belief that struggle was noble. As the old energies faded, unexpected doors opened. A traveling merchant discovered her designs. A wealthy patron commissioned a series of pieces. Her work reached distant markets. The truth stands clear: scarcity is not your original state, it is a garment you were given, and now can take off like a chrysalis. You must let go of the false limits that have bound you. The universe flows with infinite abundance, and you are its direct expression. By releasing inherited scarcity, you align with the natural order of prosperity that is your birthright. Practice. Take a journal and list the 5 strongest scarcity beliefs that come from your family line. Close your eyes and picture each belief as a dark thread. Imagine gathering those threads and watch as sacred fire transmutes them into golden light. Feel the ancestral weight lifting as each limiting belief dissolves into open potential. In a small schoolhouse painted like sunrise, a teacher kept drawers full of gifts from grateful parents unopened. He declined them gently. Your child's growth is the only reward, he would say. Believing virtue meant giving without receiving. You may notice a similar reluctance inside yourself, a discomfort when abundance approaches. This resistance to accept is not humility, but an ancient wound masked as nobility. Each time you deflect a blessing, you interrupt the sacred current that sustains life. The earth receives rain and produces fruit. The flowers take sunlight and offer nectar. This divine exchange shows that receiving is as holy as giving, yet many hide shame around accepting abundance, as if worthiness must be earned. One night, the teacher dreamed of a garden where the flowers refused the sun. They withered not for lack of light, but because they would not open their petals. He woke knowing his refusal to receive was fear. In noble clothes in a market district, a successful shopkeeper felt waves of guilt with each profit. Who am I to have so much? She would whisper, retreating from her success, until one morning, counting coins, she saw how shame dishonored the very force that sought to bless her. Your resistance to receiving carries echoes, perhaps from times when abundance exposed you to danger, when standing in power drew unwanted attention. But that era has passed. The universe now longs to flow through you and express its limitless nature through your prosperity. When you block receiving, you deny not only yourself, but the larger orchestration of give and take. Your abundance is part of the universal circulation. It is essential, like a river that both receives from its source and gives to the sea. You are a vital channel in this divine exchange. By resisting, you build a dam in the cosmic current, holding back not only your own prosperity but also the gifts you're meant to share. The universe seeks balance, and your willingness to receive becomes the foundation of your capacity to give. Practice. Stand before a mirror at dawn or dusk. Place your hand over your heart and meet your gaze with tenderness. Speak aloud with the authority of your soul. It is safe to receive. I am worthy. Let each word dissolve old barriers to receiving. Feel this worthiness echo in every cell of your body. In the forge at the center of a village, the blacksmith's hammer rang out day and night. He built tools and wealth, yet his spirit felt hollow. Coins clinked, but did not warm his heart. The law of circulation rules all energy like water. Wealth must move to remain pure. When you dam it through fear of loss, you create the scarcity. You fear money in its purest essence is love made visible, a way for the divine to show its infinite abundance. Notice how nature demonstrates this truth. Trees drop leaves, trusting spring will bring new growth. Rivers give themselves to the sea, confident they will be replenished by rain. This is the universal way. What flows out returns multiplied. One morning the blacksmith began giving freely, fixing tools for no cost, teaching his trade to young people, sharing his knowledge without reservation. As his grip on money relaxed, something astonishing occurred. New customers arrived with larger needs and greater pay. His reputation spread beyond the valley. A widow down on her last provisions shared her final loaf with a hungry traveler. She whispered, "The universe provides." That night a messenger arrived with news of an inheritance from a distant relative. These stories reflect the eternal truth. Giving and receiving are two sides of the same force, like inhaling and exhaling. When you give joyfully, you align with the law of increase. Your generosity declares to the universe, "I trust the endless flow of abundance." This sacred cycle has guided the wise for centuries, teaching that true wealth comes not from hoarding but from joining life's grand exchange. Like a flower that opens to sunlight and releases scent, your heart must remain open to both giving and receiving. Each sincere act of giving makes a ripple in the cosmic fabric, returning multiplied blessings through unexpected channels. The universe recognizes trust and responds with circumstances that mirror your generosity practice. Choose one meaningful gift today, perhaps your time, your attention, a meal, or a small some. Give it freely without attachment to the outcome. Notice the feeling of release rather than loss in this sacred circulation. You become an active participant in the universe's endless dance. Money is never your master, but always your mirror. In a busy market, a seamstress watched rich merchants pass her by and felt judgment rise. They hoard while others starve. She would think not, seeing how each harsh thought made her own purse lighter. You must understand, money mirrors your inner images. When you judge wealth, you judge yourself. When you resent another's abundance, you push prosperity away. The universe works by resonance, not resistance. Your relationship with money echoes your relationship with self. Every coin, every exchange carries the imprint of your deepest beliefs about worth, power, and the right to prosper. In pre-dawn hours, a man pacing his small room cursed money. "If only I had more," he would say, "everything would be different." When he found an old journal filled with his earlier complaints, he recognized how his words had woven scarcity into his life. The moment he saw money as a reflection instead of an enemy, his circumstances began to change. Your money story mirrors your inner story. Heal your doubts, your fears, your old wounds, and you will heal your relationship with abundance. The walls that blocked your prosperity crumble and reveal the natural flow of wealth. You were always meant to receive. The judgment you released toward others returns to you as acceptance, creating ripples of grace that transform your financial reality. The love you offer to money comes back to you as prosperity, for the universe cannot help but match the vibration you give in this sacred conversation between inner and outer. Every shift in consciousness changes the outer world. Practice. Take a quiet moment and write a letter to money, as if to someone you misunderstood. Pour out your frustrations and accusations, then write a second letter addressing money as a faithful friend, a divine messenger guiding you where healing is needed. Let these words bridge the gap from resistance to flow. See how your relationship with money softens when you meet it not as an adversary to master, but as a mirror pointing you back to wholeness. Desire is not a vice, but a divine compass. In a cottage at the town's edge, a mother watched the sunrise as her sleeping children dreamed. She felt longing for a life of ease where she could give her children all they wanted, yet each vision she pushed away, calling it selfish. You were taught desire causes suffering, that wanting more proves spiritual. Failing this view holds only half the truth. Your desires are not accidents or selfish whims, they are sacred signals from the universe calling you toward your fullest expression. When longing pulls you toward greater abundance, you are hearing a divine instruction. The cosmos speaks through your deepest yearnings, using them as compass points toward purpose. A gardener once felt a persistent yearning to learn about healing herbs, though he dismissed it as impractical. That desire would not go away. Eventually, he followed it, founding a healing center that served thousands and brought him prosperity beyond expectation. Your desires are seeds of destiny waiting to bloom. When you honor them, you align with the universe's plan for your expansion. Acknowledging your longing tunes you to abundance's frequency. The desire for wealth is part of your spiritual path. Pursuing true desire unlocks gifts you were born to share. Each coin that passes through your hands becomes a potential blessing, each investment an act of faith in divine order. As you grow, your capacity to receive you also expand. Your ability to give, creating a cycle of spiritual and material prosperity that uplifts those around you. Practice. Find a quiet place, place your hand over your heart, and feel this longing arise without shame. Breathe into it, and say quietly, "This longing is sacred, I honor it fully." In a dim dance studio, Joan moved with a grace that belied the years and the aches in her joints. She kept her morning ritual not for payment or praise, but for the pure delight of motion, and from that delight a ripple of abundance began to form. Students sought her out, invitations to teach arrived unexpectedly, and opportunities flowed without strain. This reveals a simple truth: within you lives a frequency more potent than any tactic or plan. The universe responds to vibration rather than mere activity. When you radiate joy, gratitude, and calm, you speak the native language of prosperity. These feelings are keys that open the vault of universal abundance. Many people spend their lives trying to force money into existence through struggle, missing the obvious truth that wealth is attracted rather than seized. Your emotional state builds an energetic field that either invites or repels fortune. Joy is not a reward for having money, it is the magnet that draws it. You do not need to wait for outside conditions to change to allow yourself to feel prosperous. The order is reversed. Embody the feeling first, and watch the world rearrange to match your inner tone. A shopkeeper named Stanley once treated his small store as a daily battle against scarcity. Then a friend suggested a simple shift: feel better first. Though skeptical, Stanley began practicing gratitude. He greeted customers warmly and found joy in small tasks. Within weeks, his business transformed. New possibilities arrived, customers multiplied, and prosperity flowed with ease, all because his inner frequency changed. These stories point to a universal principle: your emotions form the blueprint of your material life. When you vibrate at the frequency of abundance through appreciation and serenity, the outer world reorganizes itself to mirror your inner state. Like a magnet drawing metal to itself, your prevailing feelings attract their physical counterparts. This is not coincidence, but a timeless law. Those who mastered this truth knew their inner life was the temple where outer manifestations originate. By keeping states of genuine gratitude and quiet confidence, they activated forces far beyond ordinary effort. Now spend 5 minutes embodying joy today. Laugh, smile, or move, and declare this feeling as your new frequency. In the quiet of a small library, Norma read a letter that delivered the grant she had dreamed of: $50,000 to found a literacy program. Yet instead of celebration, waves of panic washed over her. There must be a mistake, she thought, and began composing reasons to decline. In the space that followed, she found deadlines missed and complications that made the opportunity slip away. You stand now at the brink of your greatest expansion. The universe hears your call and aligns unseen forces to answer. But will you allow yourself to receive the resistance that surfaces when abundance nears? This pushback is not an instruction to retreat, it is the last guardian at the gate of your transformation. Your fear of success speaks in many voices: not ready, not deserving, what if I fail? Each whisper tests whether you will claim your power or shrink from it. Understand, these doubts are echoes from old stories, not truths you own. A healer named Samuel turned away those who sought his help, believing himself unworthy of payment. Each night he dreamed of serving others, yet each day he found reasons to avoid beginning, until one morning he stood before his reflection and declared, "I am worthy of this gift, I trust myself to use it well." From that moment opportunities he had been blind to appeared, as if waiting for his permission. Like Samuel, you carry gifts that long to be expressed. Your doubt does not protect you, it prevents the world from receiving what only you can offer. The spark within you aches to shine. Hesitation dulls its light. The chances you desire do not test your readiness. They invite you to step into your power. They mirror the greatness that has always lived in your soul. The practice is simple. Stand before a mirror, gaze into your own eyes, and speak with the authority of your soul. I am ready now. I trust myself to receive. In a fertile valley, a farmer named Clyde faced frost and failing crops, yet instead of surrendering to defeat, he sat in stillness and listened to an inner voice that guided him to sow unusual herbs in the cold soil. Those herbs flourished and were sought by healers far and wide, bringing him wealth beyond what his original harvest would have yielded. You to possess alchemical power. Every apparent loss contains a seed of greater abundance if you can transmute its energy. This is the ancient art of inner alchemy. Just as base metals were once imagined to become gold, your consciousness can transform any financial situation from lack into overflow. The key is not fighting circumstances, but shifting your energy toward what could be. When confronted with loss, remember, you are not merely a witness, you are the alchemist of your reality. Through focused intent and elevated feeling, lead can become gold, failure becomes opportunity. Scarcity morphs into abundance. Across a busy marketplace, a merchant named Elaine repeated stories of hardship until she consciously chose a new narration. I am the source of infinite value. Abundance flows through me naturally. As her inner story changed, so did her outer world. Customers multiplied, fresh openings appeared, and wealth came as if by magic. Yet it was not magic, but alchemy. Your financial reality is fluid and responds to the energy you radiate. Like Clyde and Elaine, you hold the philosopher's stone within your mind. Every thought, emotion, and belief is raw material awaiting transmutation. The ancient seekers knew that the laboratory of true transformation is the mind. Feel is the fire that transmutes. Practice by writing down one area where money feels stuck. Then close your eyes and see it as energy ready to be transformed. Rewrite the scene as if the change has already happened. Feel the completion in your body, and let your words carry the vibration of fulfillment. Emotion is currency. In the quiet of the countryside, a gardener named Gilbert tended his patch, and, after years of sorrow, found his heart moved by golden leaves dancing in autumn. He whispered thank you, and that simple act unlocked channels sealed by grief. You now stand at the threshold of a truth. The wisest have always known feelings are the currency of the universe. Your emotions are not mere reactions, they are the substance from which reality is shaped. When you master your emotional climate, you master the flow of abundance. Consider the river which follows the path of least resistance. Abundance moves where channels are open. In the same way, gratitude, joy, and appreciation clear the passage for universal energy to flow. In another village, a seamstress hummed as she worked. Joy radiated from her, and people lingered in her shop, drawn not only by her craft, but by the light that seemed to emanate from her. Within days, orders came in greater numbers. Neighbors offered help simply to be near her warmth. These tales tell the same lesson. Emotional wealth precedes material wealth. Cultivate joy, appreciation, and peace, and you become a natural attractor for abundance. Like Gilbert, your gratitude can unlock doors thought closed. Like the seamstress, your joy becomes a beacon. When you plant these inner gardens, positive feelings create an irresistible force that draws life's bounty. Like spring calling forth flowers. Practice an emotional balance sheet. Each evening, record moments of joy, peace, and gratitude as deposits, and note moments of fear, worry, and doubt as withdrawals. Through this awareness, you begin to invest your most precious currency. Consciously remember, your feelings are your fortune. In a small jazz club, a pianist named Leonard played with technical skill but no soul until one night he decided to play from love rather than fear. The subtle shift transformed his music, and soon invitations flowed. Private concerts, recording offers, and unexpected gifts arrived. The universe matched his new vibration. Your frequency must align with what you wish to receive. Like a radio tuned to a station, you must set your being to the Frequency of abundance. Think of your emotional state as music. Are the notes you play scarcity and lack or harmony and possibility? The universe answers not to your wants but to the song you sing. A woman named Doris chose a 30-day experiment embodying wealth consciousness. She walked, spoke, and acted as if abundance were already her truth. She treated herself with dignity and spoke of money with ease. By day 30, opportunities had shifted, old debts eased, promotions arrived. The change was interior. She had turned herself into wealth's frequency. Your daily vibration is your point of attraction. Wealth flows to those who match its frequency, not to those who chase it. Practice a morning routine to align your physical and energetic body. Breathe, move with grace, and write midday gratitude notes before sleep. Visualize yourself as a radiant light broadcasting prosperity's frequency into the world. Feel abundance move through you. In a modest apartment overlooking busy streets, Arthur sat amid neatly stacked bills and receipts. Each morning he would count his savings with a tightening in his chest. The loss of his job at the paper had wounded more than his income. It fractured his faith in life's flow. You must understand, money behaves much like breath. It needs motion to remain alive. When you hold your breath too long, your body protests, and when you clutch your savings in terror, you choke off circulation. This same law shows up across nature. Rivers run, blood moves, planets orbit, nothing in creation stays still. Arthur's shift began when his sister fell ill. Despite the fear, he used his savings to pay for her care. That act of giving, though terrifying at first, opened a door. Within weeks, a former colleague offered freelance work that brought in more than his old salary. The universe answered his trust with greater abundance. Money in pure form is energy-seeking movement. When you let it pass through you, when you give with faith and receive with grace, you become a living artery of expansion. Your role is not to trap or control this current, but to participate in its natural circulation. Nearby, Jeanette received a housewarming gift, a delicate antique vase. Instead of keeping it, she felt moved to give it to an elderly neighbor whose own vase had broken. This small gesture began a chain of generosity. The neighbor returned the kindness by sharing treasured family recipes with Jeanette, which later led her to launch a successful catering endeavor. These stories reflect a timeless truth: wealth multiplies when it moves. Each time you release money with trust, you make room for fresh abundance to enter. When you give from faith rather than fear, you strengthen your connection to the infinite supply. Choose today one small financial gesture that symbolizes your trust in abundance, perhaps sharing a meal, contributing a few coins to someone's dream, or investing time in another. Perform this act fully, present, knowing that what flows out creates space for greater return. Feel the circulation moving through you, and recognize how you are participating in the endless stream of prosperity. In the heart of a village, Sylvia tended her flower shop with love, yet she kept a private morning ritual. Before dawn, she would light a candle and open an old leather notebook in which she recorded intentions as if planting seeds, each line precise and sacred. Intention is not wishing, it is the first movement of creation in the spiritual realm. Just as a seed holds invisible life until it meets soil and light, so every manifestation begins with clear, focused intent. When you plant your desires with reverence, the universe conspires to support them. Sylvia wrote of expanding her garden, teaching children about blooms, and bringing beauty into more homes. One by one, doors opened, a neighboring shop closed and offered space. A local school invited her to teach weekly classes. Her reputation spread beyond the village. The power lay not in the writing itself, but in the energy she poured into the words. Each intention became a covenant between her and the infinite. When you declare your desires with clarity and calm certainty, you call into motion the law of manifestation. Contrast this with a barber who allowed his wants to change like the wind. Each day he thought perhaps a new location or a different trade. His scattered intentions produced chaotic results. Like light diffused without focus, the universe answers not to random wishes but to clarity without a single clear aim. Your energy scatters, but when you gather your desires into one unwavering beam, you align with the creative force shaping reality. The ancient teachers knew that potency is found not in many wishes, but in the crystalline purity of a single, well-formed thought. Begin a garden of gold journal. Choose a notebook that feels sacred to you, a vessel that awakens something within. Let this book be your sanctuary of clear intention, where each desire you plant is tended with patience and steady devotion. Write, as if inscribing ancient wisdom, for indeed you are recording the blueprint of your prosperous future. Money loves purpose. In a sunlit garden, Lena sat beneath an old oak and shared her knowledge with neighborhood children. Retired from formal teaching, she poured her gifts into service without expectation, and an unexpected transformation occurred. When your actions arise from deeper purpose, you activate the universe's most powerful law of increase. Money, in its purest expression, flows not to those who chase it directly, but to those who channel their gifts in service of something larger. Your prosperity grows in proportion to the value you create, and value springs naturally from authentic purpose. Lena's devotion to encouraging young minds drew opportunities without her seeking them. Parents noticed the change and told others. Soon paid workshops, speaking invitations, and consulting offers arrived, not because she hunted them, but because she followed her calling. The universe moves by spiritual mathematics. Subtract expectation, add purpose, and multiplication happens naturally. Another man named Russell had chased vague dreams of wealth for years without clarity. He finally wrote down precisely how the prosperity he wanted would serve others. When he did, his actions gained direction, opportunities crystallized, and his income began to match his new clarity. Your relationship to money shifts when you give it a mission beyond your own comfort. Like water naturally flowing downhill, wealth moves toward those who will channel it for the greater good. The question to ask becomes not how do I get more, but how can I serve more fully? When you align your finances with a heart-led purpose, money becomes not the aim, but the byproduct of meaningful contribution. It acts as a tool through which you express your highest service. As a river nourishes the land it passes, your prosperity grows in proportion to the lives you touch. Right now, a short wealth purpose statement starting with my abundance serves, and detail how your prosperity will create ripples of positive change. Include personal aspirations and specific ways your wealth will benefit others. Know these words are seeds in fertile universal soil. The universe speaks in whispers, and when you quiet the mind you will begin to hear its voice. In a small studio filled with half-finished canvases, Mabel trembled before the easel. Each rejection had dug grooves of doubt into her spirit, until one morning the first light gilded her painting, and something within her shifted. She realized the cosmos responds to vibration like calls to like. Energy attracts its match. When you learn this principle, rejection fades and reflection appears. Mabel had long broadcast doubt, and the world mirrored that frequency, but as she cultivated a deep yes within, gallery doors opened and collectors appeared. Opportunities flowed as if by orchestration. The universe never truly says no, it simply matches your inner tone. Your task is not to persuade the world, but to become the living embodiment of acceptance. When you radiate yes, life must echo your certainty. Think of Arnold, who pleaded for a bank loan but received rejection. His anxiety had built a wall of resistance. No amount of external effort pierced that barrier. Yet when he shifted from pleading to knowing, 3 channels of abundance opened at once. A dormant investment matured, a client paid a long overdue invoice, and an unexpected inheritance arrived, all because he first said yes. Inside yourself, your experience of plenty or lack is determined less by outside events and more by your internal dialogue with the cosmos. Each time you choose faith over fear, you tune to the frequency of receiving. Speak aloud within your stillness, yes, it is coming, yes, I believe, yes, I can, and let these words become the anchor of your energetic signature. In the quiet hours before dawn, Virgil arrived at St. Michael's soup kitchen with weathered hands, ready to serve not for praise or reward, but because his heart called him to be there. Each bowl he ladled carried intention. The universe records every genuine act like ripples in an endless pond. Each gesture of unconditional giving creates waves of abundance that must return to their origin. This is not hopeful thinking but cosmic law. When you give without attachment, you align with the highest Frequency of abundance. Your acts become prayers, your service a ritual, and the universe responds to the love behind your doing. Virgil never imagined his humble morning service would lead to directing the community center with resources far beyond his prior pension. The cosmos had been watching not his hours but his heart. In a different village, a baker whose shop had closed shared cherished recipes freely with neighbors. Her work found a publisher who recognized its worth. What seemed like an end became a new beginning. Generosity returning multiplied. These stories whisper an ancient truth. Authentic giving creates a vacuum. Abundance must fill not because you seek a return, but because giving and receiving are a single movement. When your service springs from love, you activate forces beyond your knowing, like a river flowing gracefully to the sea. Practice. Remember a moment you helped without expecting anything in return. Bring it to heart. Feel the energy and speak these words with certainty. Energy returns to me tenfold. I receive it. Your inner oracle speaks in subtle nudges. In a telegraph office where Morse code kept rhythm, a clerk learned to listen with his soul and noticed impressions arising not from analysis but from quiet guidance. When he cleared his mind, insights about investments and opportunities came as if from deeper knowledge. Following those whispers led him to openings others missed. Your inner guidance system is far wiser than surface logic. It operates beyond time and connects you to the intelligence that organizes creation. But like any instrument, it requires tuning through practice. Hazel, a merchant's daughter, often ignored these promptings and watched chances pass because doubt clouded her hearing. Only when she surrendered to the whispers did abundance find her. She learned that doubt is the ego's attempt to control what the soul already knows. As you release resistance, you open channels of flow. Your higher self broadcasts directions constantly in the form of intuition, synchronicity, and quiet nudges. The question is, will you listen? Will you still the mind to hear this voice? Practice. Find 5 minutes of quiet, place your hand on your heart, and ask what aligned action looks like today. Then wait without forcing and trust the answer that arises. In a humble laundry shop, Millie learned that her feelings were a form of wealth. While recording daily takings, she also wrote beside the numbers the emotional deposits of the day. Joy when sunlight warmed her face, peace while smoothing wrinkles, gratitude when a customer smiled. Your emotional state is true currency. Every feeling becomes an investment in your energetic field, drawing circumstances that match its frequency. Just as a bank grows with regular deposits, your vibrational account increases. Through chosen feelings, worry is a withdrawal, doubt creates debt, but joy compounds, gratitude multiplies, and peace yields returns beyond accounting. Millie noticed that days of high vibration brought unexpected blessings, generous tips, new clients, and ease. The universe answers not to actions alone but to the energy behind them. A grocer who practiced deliberate appreciation for his simple shop stored these feelings as precious inventory, and soon customers lingered, buying more. His life shifted not by strategy but through emotional wealth. Your energy creates before you're doing. Every feeling is a seed in the infinite field. By cultivating gratitude, expectancy, and joy, you establish a magnetic foundation that draws material abundance. Many perform similar tasks yet achieve different outcomes because their inner states differ. Practice the sacred energy audit tonight. Write emotional deposits in one column and withdrawals in another. Observe how your inner balance influences external reality. Remember, feelings are your fortune. In the autumn, when leaves swirl across empty yards, Walter stood one last time before his mill. Twice he had built that business from scratch, and twice it had slipped away, not because of poor choices or market storms, but because a hidden current underlay his actions. Within every soul there is a worthiness thermostat that decides what we permit ourselves to receive. When this internal dial contradicts outer signs of plenty, the universe simply reflects back what you believe. Walter's craftsmanship was unmatched, yet his quiet conviction that he did not deserve success became the seed of his losses. The unchangeable truth is that wealth flows not to the relentless chaser, but to those who accept their right to it. Your relationship with money mirrors the conversation you have with yourself when you harbor thoughts of unworthiness. Those ideas act like rust on channels that would otherwise carry abundance. Pearl, who ran the local dress shop, lived small, apologizing for dreams of growth. Who am I to want more, she would whisper, until one morning, looking at her reflection among bolts of fabric, she stopped shrinking and began to own her desire. She ceased explaining her dreams away, and slowly the universe answered. Within months, her modest shop transformed into the town's most sought after boutique. What Pearl finally remembered, and what Walter had yet to learn, is this: the universe will not override your own verdict about what you deserve. It will not force upon you gifts you have declared unworthy. Your worth is not something to be earned in future moments, it is a memory to reclaim. It always was yours. Consider now where you have built limits around what you allow yourself to receive. What abundance have you quietly turned away, not by conscious refusal, but by old, quiet beliefs? The flow of riches waits only on your permission to accept. Like a river seeking the sea, prosperity moves toward those who stand willing to embrace it. Every time you deny your worth, you build a dam against the divine stream, yet the instant you accept your natural deservingness, those self-made barriers dissolve and abundance flows into every part of life. Practice. Place your hand over your heart, feel its steady rhythm, the pulse of life, reminding you of your place in existence. Speak these words aloud with the authority of one who remembers. I am worthy of wealth, I am worthy of ease, I am worthy. Now let these truths sink into your cells, replacing old doubts with the recognition that your worth simply is. In the bustling market district, a restaurateur ran his kitchen from dawn until midnight, stretching resources thin and chasing every new deal. His restaurant met standard success, but true wealth remained just out of reach, always one more expansion away. When his health finally forced him to stop, he discovered a truth that silence had quietly held. Money responds to energy more than it does to effort. In the stillness, he began to sense how the universe had been nudging him all along with soft directions he had been too busy to hear. Wealth is not prey to be hunted, but a force that aligns with your spiritual clarity. When you step away from the relentless pursuit and cultivate an inner state of abundance, money begins moving toward you. It favors clarity over desperation, alignment over ambition. A dance teacher in an old theater lived this principle without analyzing it. She poured her heart into every movement, and each student her passion created a magnetic field that drew resources effortlessly. Students multiplied, invitations came, and prosperity flowed like music through her studio. The lesson is ancient: money follows your alignment, not your striving. When you stop chasing and instead embody your truest expression, the universe answers with abundance. Your power is not in doing more, but being more, clearer, calmer, truer. Like a flower that opens without force, your prosperity blooms naturally when you stand fully in your truth. The masters of old held this secret: abundance arrives not to clenched fists, but to open arms, trusting that all you seek already exists within the infinite field. Practice. Take your journal now and write in the present tense how money supports your highest life. Speak as if it is already here. My wealth enables me, my abundance allows me through my prosperity. Feel these sentences in your body. This is not make-believe, but a declaration to the universe of what is already moving toward you. In a quiet mountain garden, a monk tended his plot in silence. Each day his inner world vibrated with clear vision. He did not yearn or clutch, he simply saw abundance flowing through his life. Within days, his inner images became outer gifts. A basket of rare seeds appeared at the path. New tools arrived, just as he had pictured, and soon storerooms filled with unexpected supplies. Time bends to the purity of your vision and the stillness of your heart. When you remove noise of doubt and attachment, Manifestation quickens beyond ordinary comprehension. Desires do not obey calendar time, they conform to your emotional clarity. The cleaner and purer your inner seeing, the faster form answers. Consider a woman by the sea who walked the shore whispering gratitude for a retreat she longed to attend. She thanked the universe as if it had already been arranged. 3 weeks later, an anonymous benefactor covered all expenses and paid for her travel. The speed of the gift did not surprise her. She had been living from the outcome in heart and feeling. What these tales reveal is miraculous events are not constrained by linear time. They collapse into being at the speed of your belief and the depth of your alignment. When you release resistance, sustain a clear vision, and hold unwavering faith, the universe responds with astonishing speed. Like rivers finding their natural channels, your requests move into reality the moment you stop blocking them. Practice. Take a clean sheet and make your miracle list. Write 10 desires that set your heart alight with enthusiasm. As you write, imagine each already fulfilled, then speak with full conviction, "It already is." Let those words carry absolute certainty, for in the realm of pure possibility your miracles already exist. Sometimes the universe surprises you in ways your plan cannot predict. An engineer mapped every route to success down to the smallest number. His spreadsheets were precise, yet his plan failed to catch abundance that slipped through the neat cracks. When he was laid off, he had no choice but to release control, and in that space a former colleague offered a partnership perfectly matched to his skills. This truth is for you too. The universe runs on infinite channels, most invisible to narrow calculation. When you let go of the how, you open to possibility beyond imagination. Your role is not to choreograph every step, but to attune to the larger symphony in motion. A seamstress who had exhausted every typical avenue simply whispered, "I trust you, universe, show me the way," and a retiring boutique owner felt guided to offer her a fully equipped shop. What appears as coincidence is often synchronicity at work. Your plans draw from small wells, but surrender unlocks a vast reservoir. This is not an invitation to abandon effort, but to release attachment to the shape. Your blessing must take. The how belongs to infinite intelligence. Your task is to remain open and ready to receive through doors you cannot yet see. Practice. Choose one area where you have been controlling outcomes tightly, perhaps investments, business plans, or job searches. Take a breath and say aloud, "I allow the universe to show me a better way." Feel the relief as you hand your worry to a higher wisdom. Trust that what appears will exceed your tightest calculations. Each day offers a ritual of being wealthy. Now a factory worker paused each morning to watch the sunrise, painting the sky gold. At first he thought the pause foolish, but he came to see that small moments compose the fabric of abundance. When you savor your coffee, smile at a wild flower, and feel gratitude for the strength in your hands, you are practicing the art of being wealthy in the present. The universe responds to your present vibration, not to future promises. Every time you postpone joy, insisting you'll be happy when certain events happen, you move richness further away. The key is to claim richness now. One dress shop owner played the game of future celebration. "I will be happy when more customers come," until one day she began to treat her modest store as if it already were a Parisian boutique. She added fresh flowers, played proper music, and greeted each customer with warmth. This new energy transformed her reality. Opportunities flowed in as if the universe matched her inner state. Know this: wealth is a frequency you tune to in this very moment. Waiting for external change to allow joy reverses creation. Practice. Choose 3 small rituals to honor abundance today. Perhaps light a candle at dawn and feel gratitude for opportunity. Take a mindful walk, blessing each step as if crossing golden ground. Smile with intention throughout your day. These small acts, done with presence, become portals through which abundance moves. Joy itself summons the field. In a quiet town a man suffered heavy grief, yet each morning he opened his windows and sang, not to banish pain but to honor it. His song carried across empty rooms, and something new filled them, pure, unbridled joy. You must understand, joy is not mere emotion, it is a signal to the universe, broadcasting a frequency that abundance cannot ignore. When you allow your spirit to dance, you do not ask for miracles, you become a channel for them. Neighbors began visiting those streets. Clients appeared, and opportunities rose like the sun through parting clouds. Another woman, trapped in depression, began to turn on old records each day and dance with no audience, no technique, simply movement born of delight. A bakery customer noticed, and later offered a role at a local theater. Her morning dances led to work that suited her soul. These examples show that moments of genuine delight create ripples in the universal field. Those ripples return as doors, connections, and yes, material help. When you permit yourself to be happy without reason, you align with high vibrations that call forth abundance. Practice. Schedule 15 minutes today for pure joy. No agenda, no purpose, just joy. Creation moves in cycles. A painter learned to call her desires into being through 4 sacred movements. She would visualize with sharp clarity, feel the energy of what she wanted, embody it through inspired action, and then release into divine timing. This rhythm repeats like seasons. A seed must be planted, nurtured, and harvested. When you honor each phase, resistance dissolves and manifestation becomes natural. A woodworker discovered how the grain of the wood revealed itself most beautifully when he worked with patience and rhythm rather than forcing his will onto the material. The same approach transformed his life. Orders came easily as he flowed with opportunity instead of forcing it. Your manifestations require this sacred cadence. Some days are for visioning, others for feeling, still others for acting, and some for letting go. Ask yourself where you are in the cycle and take one aligned step. Now trust that this natural law supports your highest good. Finally, you are not separate from the abundance you seek. In a simple chapel under ancient oaks, a minister spoke from a place where words felt as if they came through him rather than from him. He realized he was not merely a receiver of abundance, but its living form. Once he remembered this truth, his life shifted, offerings increased, and opportunities arrived easily, not because he did more, but because he remembered who he was. A bookshop owner had long blamed weather markets and luck for her fortunes until one evening she understood she had been the source of abundance all along. Every moment of prosperity had flowed from her own consciousness, and every hardship had been an invitation to reclaim that power. As she embraced this reality, her shop changed into a living expression of her inner wealth. Shelves seemed to fill at the right moment, customers arrived perfectly, and opportunities unfolded with grace. These stories reflect your journey. You have thought yourself apart from abundance, watching it flow to others, wondering when it would reach you. Now recognize you are not the seeker of abundance, you are abundance taking form. Your practice is to stand tall, place your hands on your chest, and affirm, I am the source. The universe expresses wealth through me. The ripples you set in motion are the living proof that abundance is not confined to bank accounts, but alive in the ways you touch the world. Every act of giving, every choice to share creates a widening circle that returns to you in forms both subtle and grand. When you plant seeds of generosity, you awaken unseen economies that trade in goodwill and possibility. Remember Clarence, who quietly saved a portion of each month to endow a community center he never watched completed, yet the children who learned there and the elders who found company carried his intention forward, multiplying it through years and generations. Your wealth becomes a living legacy when it serves others. The universe uses your prosperity to amplify joy wherever it can flow. In this way, money is not merely a reward for effort, but an instrument of expansion, a tool for multiplying benefit beyond your immediate need. Nancy learned this late in her career, after choosing to open her resources to young artists. The studio she supported became a spark that returned to her in unexpected ways. The artists she helped grew into mentors and contributors. Their gratitude and success refracted back to her as opportunities, invitations, and the deep satisfaction of watching others flourish. Wealth that circulates does not diminish you, it sanctifies the purpose through which abundance expresses itself. You are not called to measure success solely by accumulation, but by the network of transformation your generosity initiates. Each time you bless someone else, you participate in a sacred arithmetic The universe multiplies what moves with love and intention. Nothing is wasted. Every gift given with an open heart spawns more life, like a candle lighting another flame in darkness. Consider how a single kindness can alter a life, and then ripple out to touch families, communities, even cities. The doorway you hold open for one person becomes an entrance for many, so your acts of faith and sharing wield power far beyond what you can see in this present moment. Each act of giving, no matter how small, is a vote for the world you wish to live in. Choose often and choose with courage. Living from abundance begins with small, steady practices that retrain your senses to notice wealth already present. A simple daily ritual of gratitude reorganizes perception and primes your field to receive more. There is no formula that bypasses the inner work, because the outer follows the inner like shadow follows light. Begin by noticing the small gifts of life: the warmth of your hands around a cup of tea, the laughter shared with a friend, the breath that supports you through the day. These are the patrimony of your soul, and by honoring them you align with abundance's frequency. Move beyond mere lists of wants, and instead cultivate gratitude for what already glows in your immediate world. By habitually acknowledging present riches, you create a magnetic field that draws larger blessings. The art of receiving is an essential complement to giving, yet many people stumble here because of old stories that equate accepting with taking advantage. Learning to receive graciously is a spiritual discipline. It restores the balance of circulation. When you accept with gratitude and humility, you complete a loop of exchange. The universe then sends more through you, so you can continue the dance of giving and receiving. Practice accepting compliments, unexpected help, gifts, and invitations with sincere thanks. Notice how this softens the tension between scarcity and sufficiency. As you allow yourself to be supported, you honor the invisible web that sustains communal life. Your capacity to receive enlarges the channels through which abundance flows and teaches others that it is safe to both give and accept. Clarity of intention sharpens manifestation more than scattered effort ever could. When your desire is crisp and your aim true, the universe can marshal resources toward it with focused precision. Vagueness dissipates energy like wind losing its way, while clear purpose concentrates power like a lens that ignites a spark. The ancients taught that the spoken word coupled with felt certainty creates a treaty with the infinite. Declare your intentions as if they are already alive in the world. Speak them, write them, and tend them daily with quiet conviction. Then take inspired action that aligns with their truth. Notice how the world begins to shift to meet your leadership. The doors you once knocked on will begin to open naturally because you have asked with clarity and stood ready to receive. Your inner life is the laboratory of manifestation, where raw experiences are refined into form. The feelings you choose and the stories you repeat determine what the external world returns to you. Every habitual thought, whether generous or fearful, functions like a compound interest on your future circumstances. When you nurture resilience, optimism, and curiosity, you seed tendencies that expand over time. Settle into disciplines that upgrade your inner field. Daily practices like short morning meditations, midday gratitude pauses, and evening reflections keep your vibrational balance in check. These are not distractions from action, but the foundation that makes effective action possible and sustainable. Surrender is not defeat. It is a liberated strategy. The mind likes to hold tightly to a plan with crisp steps and schedules, but the infinite intelligence that arranges opportunity often uses crooked paths and surprising allies. Your job is to make wise choices and to release anxious attachment to every outcome. Once you do, you open channels for solutions that surpass your imagination. The moment you hand the how to a power greater than your limited reasoning, you multiply potential ways for your desire to arrive. This is the paradox. Tighter control narrows opportunity, while relaxed trust widens it. When faced with pressing challenges, practice releasing the small things first, then the larger. Follow this rhythm, and watch doors you could not plan for appear. The stories you tell yourself about money have more structural influence than any spreadsheet. They shape which opportunities you notice and which you dismiss. Your inner narrative can be an ally or saboteur. Notice any repeated phrases that reduce your sense of worth or possibility, and begin to speak different sentences aloud each morning. Remind yourself, I am permitted to receive, I am able to steward abundance, I create value that benefits others. With these simple rewrites, you shift the scaffolding of possibility. The universe responds to the new integrity of your words with matching circumstances. Your vocation is a sacred workshop where gifts find form. When work aligns with purpose, money becomes a byproduct of meaning, not its sole objective. When your labor serves others with skill and heart, it draws compensation naturally. This does not mean that every job will suddenly become perfect, but it does mean that clarity about how you want to serve refocuses your choices. Opportunities that fit your values and gifts begin to present themselves more frequently. If your current work feels like a mismatch, ask what aspects of service you can emphasize now. Where can you add value? Small steps of alignment will alter your trajectory over time, and the more you act from purpose, the clearer your path becomes. Joy is the simplest magnet for attracting abundance, yet modern culture confuses joy with distraction and productivity with worthiness. When you allow yourself moments of levity, pleasure, and creative play, you raise your frequency and invite life's intelligence to meet you there. Schedule playful time as deliberately as you would a business meeting. Treat it as a strategic investment in your energetic capital. The people, ideas, and resources that mirror your joy will begin to cluster around you naturally. Cultivate an inner bank of worthiness through daily affirmations and embodied practices. Your worthiness is not conditional on performance, it is a recognition of being itself. Place your hand on your chest and say, I am deserving, not because of what I have done, but because you are alive. Each repetition rewires a neural pathway that once kept you small and replaces it with a channel capable of receiving wider streams of abundance. The final teacher is gratitude turned outward. When you gather your blessings and decide to multiply them through service, you complete the circuit of abundance in the world. The difference between wealth that accumulates and wealth that multiplies is the intention with which it moves. You can choose starting now to seed what you want to see more of in the world, and watch as the universe returns those seeds 10, 100, 1,000-fold. The practice is straightforward. Observe what you can give today and make that offer without calculation. Expect the unseen to return with interest. Stand now in the center of your life and see your finances not as a ledger of lack, but as a map of potential. You are the steward of currents you did not invent, and yet you are invited to direct them with vision, compassion, and courage. The universe is not a machine but a living conversation. When you speak clearly, when you act from aligned purpose, and when you receive with grace, the response is inevitable. Abundance moves through you as naturally as breath. Change your posture toward money and watch the world rearrange to meet the new stance. The ways you set generosity into motion prove that abundance is not a ledger line but a living movement that courses through relationships and communities. Every gift you offer and every moment you choose to share becomes a seed that grows beyond what you can foresee. What you give becomes part of a network of goodwill that returns in forms subtle and grand. The man who quietly allocated a portion of each month to create a community hub never witnessed the full bloom of his legacy, yet decades later children learned to read, their elders found company, and the spirit of his intention multiplied through generations. Your prosperity, when deployed with love, becomes a living legacy that amplifies joy far beyond your solitary need. Understand that wealth is an instrument of expansion. When it is used to serve others, it radiates value that cannot be measured by a bank balance alone. Nancy learned this in the twilight of her career, after she began supporting young artists. The studio she helped launch became a wellspring of creativity that returned to her as invitations, collaborations, and deep satisfaction. The energy she invested manifested in surprising reciprocal forms. Wealth that circulates does not diminish you, it sanctifies the purpose through which abundance expresses itself. Measure success not only by what you keep, but by how many lives your resources enliven. Each act of blessing participates in a sacred arithmetic. The universe multiplies what moves with love. Every offering from the heart creates ripples that travel farther than you imagine. Imagine a single act of kindness seeding opportunities for whole communities. The doorway you open for one person becomes a path for many. Therefore, choose to give boldly and choose often. Begin with small daily disciplines that train your senses to recognize the abundance already present. A simple ritual of gratitude rewires perception and primes your field to receive more. There is no shortcut around interior work because outer change follows inner transformation like shade follows light. Notice the small gifts of your day, the warmth of a cup in your hands, the laughter that bubbles up between friends, the breath that carries you through each task. These are the patrimony of the soul, and in honoring them, you align with abundance's frequency. Move beyond merely cataloging wants, and instead tend to what currently glows in your life. By habitually acknowledging present riches, you build a magnetic field that draws larger blessings. Learning to receive gracefully is as vital as learning to give. Many struggle here because old stories equate accepting with taking advantage. Receiving is a spiritual discipline that restores the balance of circulation. When you accept with gratitude and humility, you close the loop and invite more to flow. Practice saying thank you with awareness. When someone offers help or praise, accept a small gift with warmth or allow another to serve you in some modest way. Notice how this softens the tension between lack and sufficiency. As you allow support, you honor the invisible web that sustains communal life. Your capacity to receive enlarges the channels through which abundance moves and signals to others that it is safe to both give and accept. Clarity of intention concentrates power more than scattered effort ever will. When your desire is precise, the universe can marshal resources toward it with focused elegance. Vagueness disperses energy like wine through a sieve, while clear purpose functions like a magnifying glass, concentrating light into flame. The ancient teachers said that word joined with felt certainty creates a covenant with the infinite. Declare your aims as though they were already real. Write them down and tend them daily with calm confidence, then act in alignment with that inner blueprint. Watch how the world rearranges to meet the leadership you embody. The doors you once knocked on will begin to open because you have asked with clarity and stood ready to steward what arrives. Your inner life is the laboratory where possibility takes form. Feelings chosen and stories repeated become compounds that crystallize into circumstances. Every habitual thought acts like compound interest on your future. When you cultivate resilience, optimism, and curiosity, you seed expansions that grow over time. Build daily practices that uplift your vibrational baseline. Brief morning meditations, midday gratitude pauses, and evening reflections serve as keeping your energetic balance in place. These are not luxuries but the foundation of effective action. Sustained energy management makes your efforts fruitful rather than frantic. Surrender is not resignation but a deliberate strategy. The mind seeks control with tidy plans and timelines, yet the intelligence that orchestrates opportunity often works through crooked paths and surprising allies. Your responsibility is to make wise decisions and to relinquish anxious attachment to outcomes. When you hand the how to an intelligence greater than limited planning, you allow a multiplicity of routes to your desire to appear. Paradoxically, tighter control narrows possibility while relaxed trust expands it. Begin by releasing small concerns and practice letting larger ones go. Next, watch as solutions you could not have engineered arrive. The narratives you repeat about money shape which possibilities you notice and which you ignore. Your inner story can be either ally or saboteur. Notice recurring phrases that shrink your sense of worth and begin rewriting them aloud. Each morning say, I am permitted to receive, I am able to steward abundance, I create value that benefits others. These simple linguistic shifts alter the scaffolding of your reality. The universe answers to the integrity of your words and will respond to a new story with matching circumstances. Work done as service becomes its own currency. When your work aligns with purpose, money becomes a natural byproduct of meaning, not the goal itself. When labor serves others with competence and heart, it draws compensation organically. This does not guarantee immediate perfection in every job, but it does focus your choices. Opportunities that match your values increasingly present themselves if current work feels misaligned. Identify ways to emphasize the service element now. Where can you add value? What small pivot would align your daily tasks with a deeper why? Small steps toward purposeful work change your trajectory, and over time that alignment becomes the magnet for appropriate reward. Joy is the simplest magnet for abundance in a culture that equates worth with productivity. Remember to schedule play as deliberately as meetings. Allow yourself pleasure and creative exploration. It is not frivolous but strategic, energetic investment. When you create pockets of levity, the people, ideas, and resources that mirror your joy begin to cluster around you. Treat playful time as expansion capital. Build an inner bank of worthiness through daily affirmations and embodied practice. Your worthiness is not earned through output, it is recognized as a birthright. Place your hand over your heart and say, I am deserving, because you are alive. Each repetition rewires neural paths that once kept you small and opens channels capable of receiving broader streams of abundance. Turn gratitude into outward motion. When you multiply what you receive through service, you complete an energetic circuit. The difference between wealth that accumulates and wealth that multiplies is the intention behind its movement. The universe returns what you circulate with interest. If you start today to seed the world with what you wish to see more of, you will watch returns grow exponentially. Act now with a small gift, a time donation, or a practical favor, and trust the momentum to expand what you began. Stand in the center of your life and view your finances as a map of potential. You are steward of currents older than you, and yet invited to direct them with vision and compassion. The universe is not a mechanism, but a living dialogue. When you speak clearly, act from aligned purpose, and receive with grace, abundance flows through you like breath. Change posture toward money, and watch the world rearrange to meet the new stance. Remember that you are not separate from the source of all generosity. You are the channel through which it expresses in human form. Practice. Now stand tall, place your hands on your chest, and say with certainty, I am the source. The universe expresses abundance through me. As these final words arrive, know they are not an ending but an opening. This understanding is alive and meant to be revisited again and again. What you now hold is not simply information but a living transmission of energy passed through many hearts to reach yours. You have journeyed through the doorways of remembrance and seen how wealth flows from inner alignment rather than external struggle. Through practice you have remembered what your soul always knew. Abundance is your natural state. The universe speaks the language of energy, and you are now beginning to speak it back. Each moment offers a choice to vibrate from lack or from plenty, from fear or from faith, from resistance or from flow. These choices create the frequency that determines what comes to you and through you. Remember, you are not apart from the source, but are the source itself. When you breathe, the universe breathes with you. When you expand, it expands with you. When you trust, it answers with synchronicity. Let every morning be a fresh beginning. Let every breath re-establish your connection to the infinite. The practices in these pages are not items to check off but gates to pass through again and again. They are your daily bread, your spiritual sustenance, your energetic tune-up. You need not race or struggle. Simply be still and know you are the magnet, you are the gold, you are abundance. In the silent heights where cold morning light falls softly on stone, Otis tended his garden with a stillness that had become a practice of seeing rather than wanting. He had vowed silence years before, and in that quiet his inner world rang with crystal clarity. Each sunrise he would sit and imagine abundance flowing like a river through his days. He did not clutch or groan, he simply held the vision steadily, and within a few days small, tangible gifts arrived. A basket of rare seeds left at the gate. Tools appeared as if by thought, and the monastery's storerooms gradually filled with supplies he had pictured long before the world supplied them. What these events reveal is that time yields to purity of vision when you strip away the static of doubt, and obsessive attachment manifestation accelerates beyond ordinary expectation. Desires materialize not according to calendars but according to the clarity and steadiness of your inner. Seeing a woman who walked sandy shores each morning and thanked the universe for the retreat she longed for, found an anonymous benefactor, offering the exact opportunity within weeks because she had lived in the end result through gratitude. The lesson is stark: miracles are not shackled to linear time, they respond to the depth of your alignment and the strength of your belief. When you remove resistance, maintain a pure vision, and stand in unwavering faith, the unfolding can be swift like a stream finding its course. Remove the obstacles, and the current will carry your request into form. Now take a clean sheet and list 10 desires that quicken your heart. As you write, imagine each already fulfilled, then speak out loud, "It already is." Let those words bear the weight of absolute knowing, for in the field of pure potential your miracles already wait. Sometimes the universe surprises you in ways your careful spreadsheets could never predict. Stan's life shows you how a sudden layoff, which at first felt like ruin, cracked open a space for something far better. A former colleague reached out with a partnership perfectly matched to his skill set. The lesson is simple: the cosmos works through channels you cannot chart. When you relinquish rigid control, you open to possibilities beyond your imagination. Your duty is not to micromanage every step, but to align with the larger symphony already moving through the world. A seamstress who had tried every normal route to grow her business finally whispered, "I trust you, universe, show me the way." And that day, a retiring boutique owner felt called to pass down her fully equipped shop. Surrender invites unseen support. This is not advice to be passive, but an invitation to release attachment to the specific form your blessing must take. When you let the infinite intelligence of life handle the how, you multiply openings. The practice is to find one area where your grip has been tight and say, "I allow the universe to show me a better way." Feel the relief as you relinquish that burden to a wisdom wider than your calculations. Wealth flows most freely through the ritual of the present moment. Caleb, who worked in a factory, began each morning by pausing to watch the sunrise paint the sky with gold. At first it felt inconsequential, yet over time this simple act rewired his sense of riches. When he savored his coffee, smiled at a resilient wheat pushing through concrete, and felt gratitude for his hands, he practiced the art of being wealthy. Now the field responds not to your future plans, but to your present vibration. Every time you tell yourself you will be happy when something happens, you push abundance further from your reach. The secret is to claim richness in this breath. One dressmaker used to promise future celebration, but nothing changed until she treated her modest shop as if it were a fine Parisian boutique. Fresh flowers, careful music, and warm greetings shifted her energy, and the world answered similarly. Choose 3 small rituals to honor abundance today. Perhaps light a candle at dawn. Feel gratitude for the light of possibility. Take a mindful walk, blessing every step as if it were golden ground. Smile intentionally throughout the day. These simple acts of presence serve as portals through which abundance moves. Joy itself is a field that calls abundance. Eugene, weighed by grief, began opening his windows each morning and singing, not to chase pain away, but to honor it. His voice traveled into empty rooms, and slowly those rooms filled with new visitors. The act of broadcasting pure, unburdened joy created an irresistible frequency that life answered. Neighbors came by, clients appeared, opportunities unfolded as if summoned. Another woman, once crippled by depression, began dancing each morning to an old record with no audience and no aim, simply letting her body remember light. Within days, a bakery customer mentioned a job at the local theater, and her morning practice turned into vocation. Your joy is not frivolous, it is a creative force. When you permit moments of genuine delight, you create ripples that return as doors, people, and resources. Schedule 15 minutes for joy today. No purpose, No aim, simply delight, and you will notice how the world rearranges around that frequency. Creation moves in cycles like seasons, and learning to work with those cycles eases manifestation. An artist paints desires into being through 4 sacred movements: first clear vision, then feeling that vision as real, then inspired action aligned with that image, and finally letting go to divine timing. A carpenter learned that wood responds to gentle, rhythmic attention rather than force. When he worked with the grain, his craft improved, and orders came as if invited. The same rhythm applies to life. Sometimes you must vision and feel, other times you must act or release. Honoring where you are in the cycle dissolves resistance and invites grace. Ask where you are now in the cycle of creation. Take one aligned step and trust that natural law supports your movement. Remember, you are the source, not the seeker. Lloyd, who spoke from a place where words felt to come through him rather than from him, discovered he was the living expression of abundance. Once he remembered this truth, his life changed, not because he worked harder, but because he embodied his nature. Offerings multiplied, and opportunities arrived effortlessly. Likewise, a town bookshop owner finally saw that she had been the source of her earlier successes, not the weather or market luck, but the consciousness she brought to her shelves. Once she reclaimed that awareness, customers appeared at perfect times, and her shop became an outward mirror of her inner prosperity. You are not apart from abundance, you are its channel. Recognizing this alters everything. Stand tall, place hands on your chest, and say, I am the source. The universe expresses wealth through me. Let that remembrance shift how you move in the world. Wealth becomes a ripple when used to serve others. Nancy in her later years funded an art studio where young people could learn. Her simple act of sharing became a fountain whose waters returned as the community thrived. Her commitment created far-reaching outcomes that outlived her tenure. Wealth that circulates multiplies. Consider Clarence, who saved a little each month to seed a community center he never saw completed, yet the center taught generations. Children learned to read, elders found friendship. The ripples of his gift continued long after his lifetime. When you direct abundance toward what stirs your heart, you align with the universe's intention to expand joy through giving. Your legacy is not a remote event, but a living chain that begins with each generous choice today. Write one way your current or future wealth can serve others, and begin that ripple now. Even a small act like buying coffee for a stranger or sharing your time creates a current of blessing that returns to you, multiplied. The golden life is quiet and ordinary until seen through the eyes of presence. Henrietta sat at her desk watching waves and realized that her morning tea, the blossoming of her garden, and birdsong were already expressions of wealth. She stopped pursuing riches as a separate thing, and instead lived as the essence of abundance. Her writing then flowed, and material prosperity followed, not from frantic pursuit, but from inner alignment. Franklin, who had chased success for decades, recognized during a simple coffee with a friend that contentment itself is the golden life. His bank balance changed little, yet his perception shifted entirely. When you learn to recognize the abundance around you in each ordinary moment, external prosperity tends to follow the inner shift. Close your eyes, smile, and imagine your golden life already present. Whisper, thank you, I am ready. As these concluding words settle in, know they are not an ending but an opening. This wisdom breathes and returns whenever you choose to remember. You now carry a living transmission of energy that has traveled through many hearts to reach yours. You have walked ancient doorways and recalled that money flows from inner alignment, not external struggle. Through ongoing practice, you will continue to remember that abundance is your natural state. The universe speaks in energy, and now you are becoming fluent in its sacred language. Every moment offers a choice to vibrate from lack or from plenty, from fear or from faith, from contraction or from flow. These choices set the frequency that shapes what comes to you, and through you recall that you are not separate from the source. You are the source itself. When you breathe, the universe breathes with you. When you expand, it expands through you. When you trust, it answers with grace. Let every morning be a new beginning, and every breath revive your link to the infinite. The practices here are not tasks but gateways to revisit again and again they are your spiritual nourishment, your daily tune-up. You need not chase, simply be still, and know you are the magnet, you are the gold, you are abundance. In the high stillness of the mountains Otis tended his simple plot with a silence that became a practice of deep seeing rather than eager wanting. He had taken a vow years before, and in that quiet his inner vision rang clear. Each dawn he held an image of abundance flowing into his life like a river. He neither grasped nor pleaded, he simply maintained the image steadily, and soon small tangible gifts appeared, a basket of rare seeds left at the garden gate, new tools set on the stoop, donations arriving to fill the storeroom with supplies he had pictured long before they came. These events show that time bends to the purity of inner sight. When you clear away the noise of doubt and stop clinging to results, manifestation often accelerates beyond ordinary expectation. Desires do not obey calendars, they answer to the clarity and steadiness of your inner seeing. A woman who walked the shoreline each morning and thanked the universe for a retreat she longed to attend found that within weeks an anonymous benefactor covered her expenses because she had already been living in the end result through gratitude. This teaching is direct. Miracles are not chained to linear time, they move at the speed of your belief and the depth of your alignment. When you remove resistance, hold a pure vision, and stand in steady faith, the unfolding can be swift like a stream finding its natural course. Practice now. Take a blank sheet and list 10 longings that quicken your heart. As you write, feel each as already fulfilled, then speak aloud, it already is. Let that phrase hold absolute certainty, for in the field of pure potential your miracles already exist. Often the universe surprises you in ways no spreadsheet could foresee. Stan's layoff at first felt like ruin, yet the forced surrender cracked open space for a far better pathway. A former colleague reached out with a partnership perfectly suited to his skill set. The lesson is simple: the cosmos operates through channels you cannot map. When you let go of tight control, you open to possibilities beyond imagination. Your role is not to micromanage every step, but to attune to the greater symphony already moving through the world. A seamstress who exhausted conventional paths finally whispered, "I trust you, universe, show me the way." And a retiring boutique owner felt guided to gift her a fully equipped shop. Surrender invites unseen support. Do not mistake this for passivity. It is an intelligent release of attachment to the form your blessing must take. When you allow infinite intelligence to handle the how, you multiply the routes through which your desire can arrive. Practice now. Name one area where you've been excessively controlling, perhaps investments, a business plan, or your job search. Take a deep breath and say aloud, "I allow the universe to show me a better way." Feel the relief as you hand this burden to a wisdom wider than your planning. Richness is practiced in the moment. Caleb, who worked in a factory, began each morning by pausing to watch the sunrise paint the sky golden. At first the pause felt trivial, yet over time it rewired how he felt about life. When he tasted his coffee, slowly smiled at a stubborn weed in the pavement, and felt gratitude for the strength in his hands. He was learning the art of being wealthy. Now the field answers not to future plans, but to present vibration. Whenever you promise yourself you'll be happy, when something changes, you postpone abundance. The secret is to claim richness now. One dressmaker always promised future celebrations once she had more customers, but nothing changed until she began treating her small shop as if it were a fine Paris boutique. Fresh flowers, careful music, and warm greetings shifted the energy, and opportunities followed. Choose 3 small rituals today to honor abundance. Perhaps light a candle at dawn and feel gratitude for the light of possibility. Take a mindful walk, blessing each step as if across golden ground. Smile intentionally throughout the day. These simple acts done with presence become portals through which prosperity moves. Joy itself attracts abundance. Eugene, carrying deep grief, began each morning to open his windows and sing, not to banish sorrow but to honor it. His voice traveled through empty rooms, and slowly people began to come. Neighbors lingered, clients appeared, and opportunities unfolded. The act of broadcasting pure unforced joy set a frequency life could not resist. Another woman stuck in depression started dancing each morning to an old record with no audience and no agenda, simply letting her body remember light. Within days, a bakery customer mentioned a role at the local theater, and that casual practice turned into vocation. Your joy is not frivolous, it is creative force. Allow moments of genuine delight, and you create ripples that return as doors, people, and resources. Schedule 15 minutes today for pure delight. No aim, no purpose, just joy, and notice how the world begins to rearrange around that vibration. Creation unfolds in cycles like seasons. An artist discovered how to call desires into being by following 4 repeating movements. First, she would visualize with clear detail, then let feeling color the image, then take inspired action aligned with that vision, and finally release to divine timing. This rhythm repeats: vision, feeling, action, surrender. A carpenter learned the same truth when he found that wood revealed its beauty when he worked gently with the grain, rather than forcing it. His craft improved and orders arrived as if invited. The same rhythm applies to your life. Some days are for visioning, others for feeling and charging the image, others for courageous action, and other days are for letting go, honoring where you are in the cycle. Dissolves resistance and invites grace. Ask quietly now where you are in the sacred cycle, and take one small aligned step. Trust that natural law supports your movement. Remember, you are the source. Lloyd, speaking from a chapel beneath ancient oaks, realized he was not merely a receiver of abundance but its living expression. Once he remembered this truth, his life shifted, not because he did more, but because he embodied his nature. Offerings increased, opportunities arrived effortlessly. A small-town bookseller had long blamed markets, weather, and luck for her fortunes, until one evening she recognized that she had been the source all along. Every moment of prosperity had flowed from her own consciousness, and every hardship had been an invitation to reclaim that power. As she embraced this, the shop itself changed. Customers arrived in the right moments. Shelves seemed to fill in time. Opportunities unfolded with graceful precision. These stories mirror your path. You have lived thinking of abundance as something outside you, watched it flow to others, wondering when it would come. Now understand, you are not the seeker of abundance, you are abundance taking form. Practice. Stand tall, place both hands over your heart, and say, I am the source. The universe expresses wealth through me. Let this remembrance alter how you move each day. Abundance ripples outward when used to serve others. Nancy, later in life, funded an art studio where neighborhood children learned and thrived. The seed she planted returned as generations of creative growth. The ripple of her choice continued long after her active years, because wealth deployed with love multiplies. Consider Clarence, who set aside a small monthly sum to seed an Oak Valley Community Center he never lived to see completed, yet decades later children learned to read. Elders found company and dreams took root. The ripple of his giving continued across lifetimes. When you direct resources toward what calls your heart, you align with the universe's intention to expand joy through service. Your legacy is not a future monument, but a living chain that begins with each generous act today. Write one way your current or future wealth could serve others, and begin that ripple. Even a modest gesture such as buying coffee for a stranger or sharing time with someone can set flows of blessing into motion that return to you multiplied. The golden life is found in the ordinary, recognized through presence. Henrietta sat at her desk by the sea, and realized her morning tea, her garden's blooms, and birdsong were already expressions of wealth. She stopped seeing abundance as a separate object, and instead lived as its essence. Her writing flowed, and material prosperity arrived not from frantic pursuit, but from inner alignment. Franklin had spent decades chasing worldly success, until he paused over coffee with an old friend and felt profound contentment wash through him. In that small moment, he realized he had been living his golden life all along. His bank balance had not changed, but his perception did. When you recognize the abundance already present in each ordinary moment, external prosperity tends to follow. The inner shift. Close your eyes, smile, and imagine your golden life already here. Whisper, thank you, I am ready. These words are not an ending but an opening. The wisdom here is meant to be revisited and lived. What you now hold is not mere information but a living transmission of energy passed through many hearts before reaching yours. You have walked through doorways of remembering and seen that money emerges from inner alignment, not external struggle. Through ongoing practice you will continue to recall that abundance is your native state. The universe speaks in vibrations, and you are beginning to speak back. Each moment offers a choice to tune toward lack or toward plenty, toward fear or toward faith, toward contraction or toward flow. These choices generate the frequency that shapes what comes to you and through you. Remember, you are not separate from the source. You are that source in human form. When you breathe, the universe breathes with you. When you expand, it expands through you. When you trust, it answers with grace. Let every morning be a new beginning. Let each breath renew your connection to the infinite. The practices here are not tasks to be completed and shelved, but gateways to revisit again and again. They are your daily bread, your spiritual sustenance, and your energetic tune-up. You need not push or chase, simply be still, and remember, you are the magnet, you are the gold, you are abundance. The final chapters bring you back to the present moment, where remembrance becomes practice and practice becomes life. You have walked through a series of stories and teachings designed to shift the way you inhabit money, not as an external puzzle to solve, but as an inner climate to tend. This audiobook is a doorway that opens repeatedly. The wisdom it carries does not arrive finished and sealed, but invites you to return, to deepen, to live it, so that your daily choices reflect the frequency of abundance. You now know is your birthright. The closing of these words is not an ending, but an invitation to embody what you have heard. Begin each day as an experiment in alignment. Notice the small movements you make that either tighten or expand your energetic field. Choose the ones that expand. A simple breath held with gratitude can change the architecture of your day. A posture of receptivity can clear channels that seemed stubbornly clogged. When you greet your morning with curiosity and appreciation, you plant the seeds that the universe will water. This is not mystical speculation. It is the practical cultivation of a new operating system that rewires how you see, feel, and therefore how the world responds. Your life is filled with everyday thresholds where you can choose contraction or expansion. The invitation across these pages is to choose expansion more often. Stand in the small practices the authors and sages handed down: gratitude, clear intention, the willingness to give without grasping, the readiness to receive with grace. These are exercises in frequency. Each performed with sincerity rewires your neural and energetic circuitry. They are the muscle building of the soul, and the more consistently you practice them, the more natural prosperity becomes. Let your work and service be the vessel through which abundance flows. When you orient your skill and attention towards serving others, your activity becomes a channel rather than a scoreboard. This subtle shift removes the pressure of scarcity-driven urgency and allows opportunities to arrive that are better matched to your gifts. Remember the stories of those who gave without calculation and later received in surprising, multiplied ways. The returns were never simple transactions but waves of restoration and creative energy that invited more life into the field you helped open. Clear intention is the most efficient use of energy. Vagueness scatters possibility, while focused clarity concentrates the light of creation. Write with precision and feel with conviction. The clearer your aim, the slimmer the path. The universe needs to build your intention into form. Do not mistake busyness for movement. Take moments to center before action, and let inspired steps follow from that centered clarity. Momentum then begins to form because your choices pulse with coherence. Sacred surrender is the other essential skill. Learn how to hand the how to a wisdom larger than your strategy. Release the anxiety that insists on scripting every detail, and allow the creative intelligence of life to conspire on your behalf. This does not remove your responsibility to act, but it frees your actions from the heavy burden of forced outcomes. When you combine clear intention with surrendered trust, you create a magnetic field that invites efficient, often unexpected, paths toward your desire. Repair your relationship with worthiness and watch reality recalibrate your inner thermostat sets the limit of what you will accept in life. When you believe you are undeserving, you unconsciously edit out opportunities that match abundance. This is not about egoic entitlement, but about remembering you were born to receive and give in equal measure. Practice daily affirmations grounded in felt truth, not hollow repetition. Place your hand over your heart and say, I am worthy to receive and to give. Then live the small choices that confirm that statement. For instance, receive help when offered. Accept a compliment with grace. Allow resources to support your capacity to serve. These small acts build the larger channels through which substantial abundance flows. Emotion remains the currency that buys the quality of your experience. Choose feelings intentionally. Cultivate gratitude, joy, appreciation, and peaceful confidence. Then let your outer life adapt to that inner wealth. When you are steady in appreciation, your decisions align with long-term thriving rather than short-term fixes. Gratitude is not a magical bandage over lack. It is the lens through which the universe can see you as a viable receiver. It clears the debris of doubt and signals readiness for new returns. Practices anchor theory in your daily life. Choose rituals that feel intimate and sustainable rather than elaborate and sporadic. Short morning alignments, midday recalibrations, and evening reflections maintain your vibrational balance. Set an intention each morning. Speak it as if it were already true. Midday, breathe into the body and return to gratitude. Each evening, review what you received and whom you served. These simple loops create cumulative effects that compound over weeks and months. Your energetic ledger begins to reflect deposits not just of money but of presence, clarity, and influence. Becoming a steward of ripple wealth means expanding your sense of ROI beyond immediate gain. Think in terms of lives touched, cultures shifted, opportunities created for others. When you let your prosperity serve a larger good, the universe mirrors that expansion with greater capacity for your life. The multiplier effect is real. The more you circulate what you receive with generosity and wisdom, the larger the field of return becomes. Consider the power of a single act of empathy that leads someone to a different life path, or a small donation that nets decades of community benefit. Your wealth magnifies into legacy when it is deployed with intention. The practical and the mystical are not opposed, they are partners. Your financial choices are technical, and your internal state is energetic. Both matter. Choose to build skills and systems while you also tend your inner world. Cultivate competence in budgeting, marketing, or saving while simultaneously excavating old scarcity stories and planting new narratives of ease. These parallel practices form a sturdy vessel that can hold increasing flow without collapse. Trust the tempo of your life and learn to read its rhythms. Sometimes days are for planting seeds, other days for watering, then for harvesting, then for rest. The ancient law of cycles reminds us that movement contains pause, and that pause contains movement. Do not rush harvest when seeds aren't ready, and do not abandon fields too early when growth is quiet. Patience accompanied by inspired action is often the most powerful stance you can take. The greatest evidence of transformation will be internal. First, the outer world rearranges. Later, let joy be the compass, and not the reward. When you allow yourself to feel wealthy now, you remove the inner blocks that delay external fruit. The paradox is real. Feel the feeling, and then watch how circumstances follow the inner pattern you choose. As you move forward, invite curiosity into the process. View each setback as data for refinement, not a verdict on your worth. Track your inner state alongside your external metrics. Notice how shifts in mood, clarity, and generosity correspond with changes in opportunities and flow. This meta-awareness increases your capacity to intentionally tune your frequency. Remember the quiet power of incremental consistency. Abundant lives are rarely built by a single leap, but through persistent daily alignment. The compound interest of steady practice transforms noise into symphony and scarcity into habitual plenty. Set the small daily tasks and let integrity of practice become your invisible architecture. You are now invited to step into a new posture toward money, to see it as energy to steward and circulate, rather than hoard and fear, to treat desire as guidance and service as a multiplier, to hold clarity and surrender in balance, to cultivate worthiness, and to live from emotional abundance. These are the disciplines that cultivate a life in which prosperity is not exceptional but ordinary, because it originates within the frequency you choose to hold. Take this moment now to close your eyes and breathe deeply. Place your hands gently over your heart and feel the pulse of life. Say silently or aloud, I am the living channel of abundance. I receive with grace, and I give with joy. Feel those words in your bones. Let them settle into the depth of your being. Then open your eyes and take one concrete step that aligns with that truth. Perhaps an email to someone you can help, a small gift to a neighbor, a clear sentence written in your journal that names the way your wealth will serve others. Act, and let action reinforce the new frequency you are practicing. The universe delights in expressing through human hands. It waits for consent, not toil. Once you choose alignment over anxiety, you open the door to a stream that was always yours to cross. Remember, you are not separate from the source. You are the source. Expressing inform your life is the channel through which abundance flows, and your daily choices set the width of that channel. Thank you for listening, and for choosing to lean into remembrance. May the simple practices you adopt now become the sustaining architecture of a life lived as a flowing river of abundance. May each breath you take remind you of your capacity to receive, to give, and to be the living embodiment of prosperity as you go forward.